I'm sinking through the layers of the day, where the blue light turns to a crushing gray. The pressure's building in the hollow of my chest, where the ghost of your promise has come to rest. I'm pulling at a string that's miles long, tied to a love that went drastically wrong. The wood of the bass is cold and slick, like the walls of a heart that's grown too thick. And it's an abyssal ache, deep and wide, with nowhere left for the sorrow to hide. The love strings are groaning under the weight of a forever that arrived much too late. Down the sun, can't find the floor. I'm searching for the ghost of an open door. A heavy timber, bottomless sigh, under a dark and a liquid sky. The double bass vibrates like a tectonic shift as I watch the wreckage of us start to drift. I try to find the surface, try to find the air, but there's only the silence and the absence of care. The bow is a drag, a heavy-handed pull through a chamber that's empty but feels so full of the things we broke and the things we said before the primary colors all turn to lead.
Citrix into tremolo, a shivering rapid movement of the bow that creates a sense of rising panic and coldness.
Is it the salt or is it the sea that's drowning a version of you and me? The pitch is dropping, the light is thin as the weight of the water starts caving in. It's an abyssal lake, deep and wide, with nowhere left for the sorrow to hide. The low strings are groaning under the weight of a forever that arrived much too late. Down where the sun can't find the floor, I'm searching for the ghost of an open door. A heavy timber, bottomless sigh, under a dark and a liquid sky. Sinking down, lost in the deep. A seek indeed is destined to keep. I shut my eyes and see the glow of a silhouette from a year ago. A burning outline on the back of my lens of the life we lived and the love we hid. The bass is humming like a power line, tangled in a past that's no longer mine. I reach for the shape, but my hands go through the static and the salt of the ghost of you. It's just an after image of us in the dark, a cold blue burn from a dying spark. The strings are weeping in a low end blur for the boy I was and the girl you were. A permanent stain on a temporary heart, watching the colors all drift apart. I'm playing the shadow, I'm bowing the ghost of the version of us that I need. resin is dusty, the varnish is scarred, like the dreams we held that fell too hard. I'm mapping the negative space in the room where the flowers have always forgot to bloom. The double bass groans with a heavy set ache, like the surface of ice just before it breaks. I'm staring at the sun until my vision goes white, just to keep you ghost in the middle of the night.
The bass violin plays a series of glissandos, sliding the notes down until they lose their pitch, sounding like a fading siren.
Blink once for the mercy, blink twice for the pain, blink until there's nothing but the charcoal rain. The image is blurring, the edges are frayed in the light of the wreckage that we have made. It's just an after image of us in the dark, a cold blue burn from a dying spark. The strings are weeping in a low end blur for the boy I was and the girl you were, a permanent stain on a temporary heart, watching the colors all drift apart. I'm playing the shadow, I'm bowing the ghost of the version of us that I needed the most.
The tempo slows to a crawl. The player uses pizzicato to plug 3 final, faint notes, each one softer than the last.
Fading out. Burned in deep. I'm not leaving. I can't even keep. The sun is leaning heavy on the hill. The clocks have all decided to be still. A wash of orange on the kitchen wall, watching every shadow start to crawl. I'm holding on to timber and to wire, while the sky is setting everything on fire. But the warmth is just a trick of the eye, a golden plated way to say goodbye. And it's an ember hour lament for the lost, counting every shadow, every cost. The bass is humming like a dying light, bracing for the coming of the night. We're caught in the glow of what used to be, drowning in a warm and ancient sea. One last shimmer before the black sets in on the ending of a love that was paper thin. Your ghost is sitting in the velvet chair, with dust motes caught like diamonds in your hair. But as the mercury begins to drop, the heart of this house comes to a stop. The double bass drums a low resonancy, a physical weight of the vacancy. The golden hour is a beautiful light, a gilded cage for a long goodbye.
The bass violin shifts to a soul tasto technique, playing over the fingerboard to create a soft, breathy, and muffled tone as the light fades.
The glow is retreating, the edges are cold. The story of us has been bought and been sold. I'm pulling the bow through the deepening gray, watching the amber all bleed away. It's an amber hour meant for the lost, counting every shadow, every cost. The bass is humming like a dying light, bracing for the coming of the night. We're caught in the glow of what used to be, drowning in a warm and ancient sea. One last shimmer before the black sets in on the ending of a love that was paper thin. The sun is down, the room is blue. I'm still here, but the amber's through. There's a space where your weight used to be, a ghost-shaped dent in the velvet and wood. It's a frame for the absence of me and the things that I never quite understood. The varnish is cold and the fabric is torn underneath the ceiling that's weary and gray. The silence is sharp as a crown made of thorns since the hour you decided you couldn't stay. Geometry of nothing, the weight of the air. The bass violin groans in a low register sigh for the version of us destined to die. Four legs on the floor, but no soul in the sea. Just a hollowed out rhythm, a skipped over beat. I'm conducting the shadows and combing my hair in the presence of this anatomy of an empty chair. Bass hums against my own ribs, a mirror to the hollow that lives in the room. We built a tall palace on little white fibs, and now it's a garden that's forgotten to bloom. I'm tracing the dust on the arm of a seed where your hand used to rest when the morning was new. Now it's just timber and cold, bitter defeat, and the crushing, quiet physics of losing you.
The dash worrying shifts into a soul punch cello technique, and faint, silvery metallic sound that mimics a cold draft blowing through an empty house. Is it the wood that is shrinking, or is it my heart tearing the seams of fabric apart? The tension is rising, the bridge is about to snap, falling through the holes of a memory trap.
This is the anatomy of an empty chair, the geometry of nothing, the weight of the air. The bass is grown in a low register sigh for the version of us that was destined to die. Four legs on the floor, but no soul in the sea. Just a hollowed out rhythm, a skipped over beat. I'm conducting the shadows and combing my hair in the presence of this anatomy of an empty chair. One chair. I'm leaning my head on the spruce and the pine, tracing the rings of a love that was mine. This instrument's older than both of our ghosts. It remembers the things that I've buried the most. The sap turned to resin, the life turned to string, a hollow body vessel for the pain that you bring. I can feel the vibration of years in the grave, singing back every season of shelter and rain. And these are the ancient echoes in the wood, the things we destroyed when we said they were good. The bass is a cavern, a deep timber side for the version of us that was born but to die. It's the sound of the forest, the sound of the fall, bouncing back from the silence of an empty hall. Deep in the fiber, deep in the core, I'm playing for a heartbeat that don't beat no more. The double bass knows when a promise is thin. It records every lie that we let settle in. The bridge bridge is a mountain, the scroll is a knot of all of the lessons that I've been forgot. I draw the bow slowly, a jagged dark line through the dust of a history that used to be divine. But the wood is a witness, the wood is a cage, holding the sorrow of our final page. Knock on the body, listen for the sound of the love that we lost being finally found. But it's just an echo, it's just a ghost, a rattling memory of what I miss most. These are the ancient echoes in the wood, the things we destroyed when we said they were good. The base is a cavern, a deep timbered sigh for the version of us that was born but to die. It's the sound of the forest, the sound of the fall, bouncing back from the silence of an empty hall. Deep in the fiber, deep in the core, I'm playing for a heartbeat that don't beat no I'm filing away the scent of your coat in a folder labeled the things that he wrote. Box number 7, row 49. The catalog remains of a life that was mine. The base is a hum in the basement of time, a resonant storage of reason and rhyme. I'm tagging the silence, I'm numbering the tears in this vault of a heart made of salt and of years. An archival grief, cold and precise, everything frozen in history's eyes. The low strings are mourning, they used to be us, gathering shadows and gathering dust. And the curator of things you forgot, love in the margins, the tangled up night, a heavy wood ledger, a long distance sigh, and a archival grief that will never run dry. The double bass vibrates like a heavy oak door, closing on memories that don't live here no more. I'm tracing the ink on a ticket for 2, the archival relevance of me and of you. The keeping the records. I'm guarding the gate in a library built out of logic and faith.
My bass spiraling shifts to soul ponticello, creating a thin, whistling metallic sound that mimics the hiss of old tape or air moving through a ventilation shaft.
Index the heartbeat, categorize the pain, sort out the sunlight and sort out the rain. The stack is too high and the ladder is weak in the silence of ghosts who no longer speak. Distant Archival Grief, cold and precise, everything frozen in history's eyes. The low strings of mourning, they used to be us, gathering shadows and gathering dust. And a curator of things you forgot, the love in the margins, the tangled up knot, a heavy wood ledger, a long distance sigh in a archival grief that will
The tempo slows to a crawl. The player plugs 3 final muffled notes, low and impassioned, sounding like a heavy lid closing.
Fight away. Turn out the light. Archival echoes into the night. The fireplace is cold, but the smell remains. A grayscale ghost in the window panes. I'm sweeping the hearth of the things we burned, the letters, the lessons, the love unlearned. The bass is a hum and the suit and the stone, a heavy wood vibration of being alone. I'm wearing the charcoal like a second skin, trying to find where the fire went thin. And it's ash-stained apathy, a burnt-out plea for the version of you and the version of me. The low strings are choking on the way to the heat, in a rhythm that's jagged and bitter and sweet. We told the world that we just outgrew, but the black on my hand says it isn't true. A heavy timbered anthem for the bridge we crossed, counting the sparks and the love that we lost. The double bass groans like a falling beam in the ruins of a half-charred, hollowed-out dream. I'm tracing the smoke rings that dance in the air, looking for warmth, but there's nothing but glare. The bow is a match that I'm scared to strike against the memory I no longer like. I'm guarding the furnace, I'm sifting the gray in the wreckage of everything we threw scratch and a whisper? Did it die in a shout? How long does it take for the light to go out? The tension is rising, the oxygen's low, and I'm losing the rhythm of letting you go. It's an ash-stained alibi, a burned-out plea for the version of you and the version of me. The low strings are choking on the weight of the heat and a rhythm that's jagged and bitter and sweet. We told the world that we just outgrew, but the black on my hand says it isn't true. A heavy timbered anthem for the bridge we crossed, counting the sparks and the love that we lost. The sky is a ceiling of unpainted sheetrock. Static is humming in the kitchen wall clock. I'm watching the dust motes decide where to land, like the ghost of a touch from a vanishing hand. The bass is a pressure, a heavy set numb, waiting for a feeling that refuses to come. The air is a vacuum, the oxygen's thin. Since the day that you left the gray winter in, and it's an emissary apathy, a weather of no, a low register anthem for the status of gold. The strings are all muffled, the resonance dry under a charcoal and indifferent sky. I'm not even angry, I'm not even blue, I'm just the after effects of the absence of you. A heavy wood hollow, a long distance sigh in an atmosphere apathy that's running me dry. The double bass groans like a ship in the fog, a stagnant entry in a heartbroken log. The pizzicato is muffled by a palm on the string, like the dulling of every beautiful thing. I try to find friction, I try to find heat, but the rhythm is dragging in a slow motion defeat. The barometer's dropping, the mercury's flat in a house that is empty and hollow at that.
The bass filing shifts to soltasto, playing over the fingerboard to create a soft, breathy, flute-like tone that lacks any edge or bite. Is it the world that went quiet or just my own ears? Drowning the music in a bucket of years. The tension is slack and the resin is dust. In a kingdom of shadow and saltwater rust.
It's an atmosphere on your feet, a weather of no, a low register anthem for the status of gold. The strings are all muffled, the resonance dry under a charcoal and indifferent sky. I'm not even angry, I'm not even blue, I'm just the after effects of the absence of you. A heavy wood hollow, a long distance sigh in an atmosphere of fate that's running me dry. No storm, no rain, no more fire, no more pain. Silence. The gold is turning, brittle on the branch, a slow motion, amber avalanche. I'm watching the light retreat from the floor, like the way you eased your way out of the door. The bass is a shiver in the hollow of my chest, where the ghost of the summer has come to rest. I'm pulling the resin, I'm biting May, feeling the warmth of your fingertips slip, and it's autumn's audible sigh, heavy and deep, a secret the harvest was too tired to keep. The low strings are mourning the green that we lost in a garden now white with the coming of frost. It's a russet toned heartbreak, a long distance hum, waiting for the numbness of a winter to come. A heavy wood anthem for a love gone dry in the resonance of autumn's audible sigh. The double bass groans like an old porch swing, tied to the memory of a beautiful thing. I'm mapping the cracks in the frost-covered glass, watching the ghosts of our forever past. The good cicada is a footfall on a carpet of brown, the sound of a kingdom all tumbling down. I'm tightening the pace while the mercury falls in a house filled with echoes and paper-thin walls.
The day's violin shifts into a tremolo, a rapid,
shivering movement of the ball that sounds like dry leaves skittering across a paved road.
Days are getting shorter, the shadows are long. The wind is the only one singing our song. It's a frantic vibration, a desperate plea, from the root of the timber to the heart of the tree. It's autumn's audible, say, heavy and deep, a secret the harvest was too tired to keep. The low strings are mourning the green that we lost in a garden now with the coming of frost. It's a russet tone heartbreak, a long distance hum, waiting for the numbness of winter to come. A heavy wood anthem for a love gone dry, in the resonance of autumn's audible sigh. The color is gone, the air is so thin, the winter is coming to let itself in. The mercury is shivering in the glass. I'm watching the grayscale shadows mass. There's a density to the silence in this room, a physical weight, a pre-calculated gloom. The bass is a hum in the center of my head, dragging the bow through the things we never said. I can feel the weather changing in my joints as the needle on the dial finally points. And it's a barometric heartbreak, heavy and low, the question of a spirit with nowhere left to go. The low strings are mourning, the drop in the air, while I'm gasping for a reason that isn't there. A high pressure system of what could have been before the cold front of the air moved in. It's a heavy wood anthem for a love gone flat, under a sky that's hollow and black at that. The double bass groans like a house about to yield to the weight of the clouds on a battlefield. I'm mapping the tension in the bridge and the gut. Every window is barred, every exit is shut. The pizzicato is a warning, a thought on the floor, like the pulse of the ocean against a closed door. I'm tightening the pegs while the oxygen thins. feel the squeeze? Can you feel the ache of a heart that's waiting for the storm to break? The atmosphere is bending, the light is strange, and the brutal physics of a sudden change. It's a barometric heartbreak, heavy and low, the crushing of a spirit with nowhere left to go. The low strings are mourning, the drop in the air, while I'm gasping for a reason that isn't there. A high pressure system of what could have been before the cold front of the end moved in. It's a heavy wood anthem for a love gone flat under a sky that's hollow and black at that. I'm a museum of a love that didn't last, an archaeologist of my own broken past. I'm tracing the scars in the spruce and the grain, like the jagged edge lines of an old private pain. The base is a fossil, a heavy wood bone, found in the rubble of a house once I roamed. I'm pulling the resin, I'm biting my tongue on a melody that should have been left unsung. And it's a Basso Relic, a song made of stone, the sound of a mountain standing alone. The low strings are weeping for the used to be, drowning in a salt-crusted ancient sea. A heavy timbered anthem for the things we lost, counting the rust and the silver and the frost. I'm just a monument to a love that's through. In the Basso Relic of the ghost of you. The double bass groans like a ship on the sand, left to the mercy of a desert dry land. The pit's as tight as a heartbeat, muffled and slow, like a message from a world that I used to know. I'm polishing the brass, I'm tightening the wire in the cold gray remains of a ritual fire. Everything's ancient, everything's deep, a secret Is it history? Or is it a haunt? Giving the silence exactly what it wants. The varnish is cracking. The spirit is thin as the weight of the centuries starts caving in. It's a Basso Relic, a song made of stone. The sound of a mountain standing alone. The low strings are weeping for the used to be, drowning in a salt-crusted ancient sea. A heavy timbered anthem for the things we lost, counting the rust and the silver and the frost. I'm just a monument to a love that's through. In the Basso Relic of the ghost. The river stopped its running, the current's gone to sleep. I'm guarding every secret that I promised I would keep. The concrete's cracking over us, a gray and jagged sky. I'm watching the reflection of a love that's gonna die. The bass is a low frequency subterranean groan, a vibration in the marrow, a shiver in the bone. I'm pulling at the resin, I'm biting on my lip, watching the warmth of your fingertips slip. And it's beneath the frozen bridge kind of night, hiding from the morning and the brutal honest light. The low strings are weeping for the current and the flow, while I'm trapped in the stillness of the never and the no. A heavy timbered anthem for a heart that's overdue. Drowning in the winter of the absence of you. The double bass vibrates like the pylons in the mud, a slow motion rushing of the salt and the blood. I try to find the melody, I try to find the key, but the waters turn to iron between you and me. The pizzicato is a warning, a thud against the wall, the sound of a kingdom that was destined to fall.
The bass violin shifts into a tremolo, a rapid, shivering movement of the bow that mimics the sound of a body shaking from the cold.
Is it the ice? Or is it the pride that's keeping the light and the fire outside? trying to find enough grip just to care. The dust is a powder, a ghost on the wood of all of the things that I misunderstood. The bases are grown, a thick, heavy pull through a chamber of hollows that used to be full. I'm turning the tension, I'm locking the gear, but the melodies are muffled by everything thin. It's a bitter resin on a broken bow, trying to catch a love that I let go. The strings are too sticky, the rhythm's too slow, drowning in the salt of a never again. No, a heavy timbered anthem for a heart gone dry, under a charcoal and indifferent sky. It's the friction of missing you, jagged and deep, a secret the timber was destined to keep. The double bass vibrates like a splintering beam in the cold gray remains of a half-charred dream. I try to play softly, I try to play light, but the pulse of penna snaps in the middle of the night. My fingers are tacky, my spirit is worn, tracing the places where the fabric was torn. I'm conducted by shadows, I'm bowing to ghosts, to the version of you that I needed the most.
As a bass violin shifts to sulponicello, the bow moves right against the bridge, creating a matide screeching whistle that mimics a scream.
Is it the music or just the machine breaking the silence of what lies between? The bridge is a mountain, the scroll is a knot of every last lesson that I've been forgot. It's a bitter resin on a broken tracing the rings of a life cut too short. A harbor of wreckage, a sinking resort. The varnish is cracked where I leaned on the wood, holding me always as long as I could. Now the ink of our story is starting to run in the pale dying light of a low-hanging sun. The bass is a thrum in the marrow of me, vibrating deep in a dark wooden sea, and it's bleeding through the grind tonight. The salt and the shadow loss of the light. The strings are all weeping and the register stain in the rhythm of memory, the pulse of the pain. No matter how hard I polish the spruce, the ghost of our history are finally loose. A heavy wood anthem for a love gone gray, watching the colors all bleed. The double bass groans like a heart under glass, watching the seasons and silhouettes pass. I try to play clean and I try to play clear, but the guitar plays muffled by everything here. It's soaking in deep where the fibers are torn, in the hollow body chamber where sorrow is born. I'm pulling the bow like a jagged edge knife through the resonant wood of a half-finished life.
The bass violin shifts into Sol Ponticello. The bow moves close to the bridge, creating a thin, metallic wheeze that sounds like a shallow breath.
Does the wood remember the weight of your hand? Or the way that we built on the salt and the sand? The tension is rising, the mercury's low, and the ink's at the bottom with nowhere to go. It's bleeding through the grind tonight. The salt and the shadow, the loss of the light. The strings are all weeping a low register stain in the rhythm and memory, the pulse of the pain. No matter how hard I polish the spruce, the ghosts of our history are finally loose. A heavy wood anthem for a love gone gray, watching the colors all bleed away. Street lamps flicker, but they can't break through the thickening haze of the absence of you. I'm building a wall out of silence are coming loose. The bass is a thrum in the center of the hall, a vibration that's holding up the weight of it all. I'm pulling the resin, I'm locking the gate in the indigo light where the ghosts all wait. And it's a blue barricade tonight, keeping out the morning and the brutal light. The strings are all weeping in a low register sigh for a version of us that was born but to die. I'm standing my ground on this hollow wood floor while the navy blue shadows come under the door. A heavy timbered anthem, a long distance plea behind the blue hour barricade of me. The double bass groans like a ship on the sand, left to the mercy of a desert dry land. I try to play light, but the bow is locked, dragging through everything we never said. A pizzicato is waiting, a start in the guard for a love that went cold and lost every spark. I'm conducting the silence, I'm bowing to no one in a kingdom of shadows where I am the only one.
The death volume shifts into high position for gardens, glassy, fragile notes that sound like stars blinking out over a deep, grinding low note.
Is it a fortress or is it a cage? In the ink-stained lines of the final page, the tension is rising. The barometer is low, and I'm losing the rhythm of letting you go. It's a blue hour barricade tonight, keeping out the morning and the brutal light. The strings are all weeping in a low register sigh for a version of us that was born but to die. I'm standing my ground on this hollow wood floor while the navy blue shadows come under the door. A heavy timbered anthem, a long distance plea behind the blue hour barricade of me.
The tempo slows to a croakel. The player performs a final glissando, sliding down to the lowest possible frequency until the sound is felt rather than heard.
Indigo's falling, the sky is so deep, the barricades hold. was cold and the calcium's dry. I'm tracing the ribs of a long ago life. I'm leaning my weight on the shoulder of spruce, but the knots in my skeleton are finally loose. The base is a shiver, a resonant throne, waiting for a feeling that refuses to come. It's not in the skin, and it's not in the air. It's the phantom of you that is living in there. And it's a bone deep ballad, a song for the frame, a hollowed out rhythm that whispers your name. The low strings are grinding, the bridges are break in the skeletal center of a permanent ache. No flesh on the story, no body in the vein, just a wild moment of all of this pain. A heavy timbered anthem, a limestone sigh, in a bone deep ballad that'll never run dry. The double bass vibrates like a ghost in the knee, a physical map of the vacancy. I try to play light, but the bow is a lead, dragging through every fade. We never said to call it a clean. A foot on the floor, like the pulse of a shadow against a closed door. I'm conducting the silence, I'm bowing to ghosts, to the version of us that I needed the
Stop I'm making a thin, whistling metallic scream that mimics the sound of wind blowing through a hollow structure.
Is it the timber, or is it the pride The gap is too wide and the water's too dark. I'm standing on the edge of a dying spark. The rivets are rusted, the cables are thin. I'm watching the grave, the winter moving. The bases are grown in the belly of the wood. I'd fix the connection if I only could. But the span has been severed, the stone has been cast, and I'm just a ghost of a bridge in the past. And it's a broken bridge nocturne, a song for the fall, with no one to answer the desperate call. The low strings are weeping for the road we can't take, in the hollow body rhythm of a permanent ache. I'm bowing the wreckage, I'm plucking the wire across the cold river of lost desire. A heavy timbered anthem for the split in the heart, watching the two of us drift further apart. The double bass vibrates like a pylon in pain, soaking up seasons of salt and of rain. I try to play steady, I try to play true, but the staccato brittle when I think about you. There's no way across and there's no way to hide the fact that I'm stuck on the lonelier side. I'm conducting the wind, I'm bowing the mist, in a version of us that has ceased to exist.
Can you hear the snapping? Can you hear the sound of 1,000 forevers hitting the ground? The tension is slack and the resin is dust in a kingdom of shadow and iron ore rust.
It's a broken bridge nocturne, a song for the fall, with no one to answer the desperate call. The low strings are weeping for the road we can't take, in the hollow body rhythm of a permanent ache. I'm bowing the wreckage, I'm plucking the wire across the cold river of lost desire. A heavy timbered anthem for the split in the heart, watching the two of us drift further apart.
The tempo slows to a lento. The player performs a final descending glissando that ends in a sudden sharp bar-top, a snap against the fingerboard.
The road is is gone. The cable snap. I'm falling through. The memory gap. The resin is thick, like the salt on my face. I'm dragging the wood up a funeral pace. Every movement is heavy, every motion is tight. In a house where the light has been all but rewired. The bases are bruised in the hollow of things, vibrating deep in the copper and strings. I'm pulling a story from a heart that is black, knowing there's no way to ever go back. And it's a bruised bow strokes kind of a night, touching the shadows and losing the light. The low strings are weeping a violet hue for the versions of me and the versions of you. A heavy timbered anthem, a dull aching thrum, waiting for the silence of morning to come. I'm bowing the memory, I'm plucking the pain in the bruised bow strokes and the charcoal gray rain. The double bass groans like a heart under pressure, a distance that no one has dared to measure. I try to play softly, I try to play sweet, but the bridge that Carter is a slow motion defeat. My fingers are sore and the varnish is thin, tracing the places where the winter moved in. I'm conducting the ghosts. I'm bowing to no one in a theater of dust where I am the only one. Is it the wood that is splintering, or is it the pride that's keeping the purple and blue on the inside? The tension is rising, the bridge is about to snap, falling through the holes of a memory track. It's a bruised bow strokes kind of a night, touching the shadows and losing the light. fingertips are hardened to the steel. A leather shield for everything I feel. I've pressed so hard against the wooden neck to keep the spirit from becoming a wreck. But the air in the hallway is turning to ice, and forever was just a roll of the dice. The bases are grown, a thick heavy pull through a house that is empty but feels so full. And it's callous and cold air tonight, hardened to the shadow, losing the light. The low strings are weeping, a frost-covered sigh for the version of us that was born but to die. I'm plucking the tension, I'm biting my tongue in a wintry anthem that's better unsung. A heavy timbered heartbreak, a shivering hum, waiting for the numbness of morning to come. The double bass vibrates like a splintering beam in the frozen remains of a half-a-charred dream. I try to play softly, I try to play light. The kutsu-kata snaps in the middle of the night. The skin on my hand is a story of no, of holding on tight and then letting you go. I'm conducting the ghosts, I'm bowing to ghosts, to the version of you that I needed the most. Is it the wood that is shrinking, or is it the pride that's keeping the mercury rising inside? The tension is slack and the resin is dust in a kingdom of shadow and iron or rust. It's callous and cold out tonight, hardened to the shadow, losing the light. The low strings are weeping, a frost-covered sigh for the version of us that was born but to die. I'm plucking the tension, I'm lighting my tongue in a wintry anthem that's better unsung. A heavy timbered heartbreak, a shivering hum, waiting for the numbness of morning to come. Hard on the outside, cold dying where you ended. The floor is slanting toward the empty hall. I'm leaning my weight against the western wall, tracing the curve where the light used to bend before we reach this jagged edge. And the base is a shiver in the marrow of things, a tension that lives in the copper and strings. I'm pulling a story from a heart that is black, knowing there's no way to ever go back. And it's a camera lost causes tonight, an archway of shadows, a ghost of the light. The low strings are weeping a gravity sigh for the version of us that was destined to die. One movement for mercy, two for the pride, three for the secrets we buried inside. A heavy timbered anthem, a long distance hum in a house where the silence is finally won. The double bass vibrates like a ship on the sand, left to the mercy of a desert dry land. I try to play steady, I try to play true, but the case to carve is brittle when I think about you. The bridge is a mountain I can't seem to climb while I'm stuck in the mud of our half-finished time. I'm conducting the ghost, I'm bowing to no one in a theater of dust where I am the only one.
The bass Resin shifts itself upon the tone, creating a thin, whistling, metallic sound like wind squeezing through a structural crack.
Is it the timber or is it the soul that's losing its grip and its sense of control? The tension is rising, the mercury's low, and the camber is breaking from letting you go. It's a canvas causes tonight, an archway of shadows, a ghost of the light. The low strings are weeping a gravity sigh for the version of us that was destined to die. One movement for mercy, two for the pride, three for the secrets we buried inside. A heavy timbered anthem, a long distance hum in a house where the silence is finally won.
The tempo slows to an anagissimo. The player performs a final, fading glissando that slides down until it's just the sound of the bow hair against the string, without a pitch.
The arch is breaking, the light is thin. Let the cold final